Welcome back to Chongqing, mainland China. Now today we want to talk about something that has happened to us before, which is that a lot of our friends, family, people that we know and so on were sort of asking us, why are you going to China? Because obviously there is a Western perspective on China that might not necessarily be the most positive at all times, and I feel like, or we feel like, there's a lot of fear-mongering happening around China itself, around the country, around the people and so on. And we kind of also felt like there was not a whole lot of coverage about the topic of, is China safe for Western people? What is the general situation? What is the feeling? And so on. So we just decided to basically hop on here and talk about what is actually happening in China for Western people.
Yeah, so we are both Westerners, obviously. I'm from Ireland, Naomi is German, and we decided to visit China quite simply because of these stereotypes and of the sort of perception that a lot of the world paints on this country. So Western media as a whole, I don't really need to even say it, but I'm going to. Western media and a lot of the West in general paints the picture of China as being like the #1 most evil country in the world. It paints it as being purely sort of oppressive, paints it as being very restrictive, it paints it as being sort of, you're not going to be able to do anything type of a situation. And that, before we came here, before we decided to travel here, that's something that really freaked both of us out in a very, very big way. So we initially started planning the trip to come here. We started looking at flights, looking at different visa options, and then thankfully China decided to do a 14-day visa-free entry for the EU, people from the EU, which is us. So gladly we qualified for that, and that's another reason actually that pushed us towards coming here. So that's a fantastic sort of addition to what I'm saying here. Ease of entry. So we were terrified about this for a long time. We always thought they don't want us in their country because they're obviously hiding everything, and the West thinks that everything here is very, very secretive, under wraps. You cannot have a look into the daily lives of people, and that's something that we were terrified about when we initially were planning to come here, because the thought that was in our head was, when we arrive here in China, what are we going to do? We're going to lose access to everything, quite literally everything that we know in the Western world, things like Google, things like different banking, ways of banking, ways of taking money out. We had no idea how any of that is going to work, and that basically scared the crap out of us.
And we genuinely came here because both of us obviously have our own bias. Every single person in the world has their own bias, but usually you have a bias because of something that you heard or something that you maybe learned in school or something like that. And I don't know, I feel like Luke and I, yeah, I feel, oh, she's so cute. Oh no, she dropped her phone. Oh no, oh no, I hope it's okay. I made her drop her phone. No, so a lot of the things that you learn might not be necessarily be positive when you go to school in a Western country, and we had an opinion of China without really knowing anything about it, I feel like. And I'm gonna turn you guys around so you can actually see what's going on around us. And I always just feel like sort of it's difficult to have an opinion about something when you don't know anything about something. So like, for example, I don't know, the way I sometimes am, a lot of times I would be like, oh, I don't like seafood or whatever, but I've never tried the local seafood, and my opinion is actually has no base to it, basically, and I have no reason to say that. And I feel like that's kind of what happened with us and China.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Wait, is it safe to go?
Yeah,
it's safe.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Shishi. How cute was that? Welcome to Chongqing, he said. And yeah, so I don't know, we were maybe a little bit scared, a little bit frightened. There's a lot of fear mongering happening, and we had an opinion on the basis of basically nothing. And that's a difficult situation to be in. Like just having a negative mindset or a negative opinion about something, or a fearful opinion about something, without having a basis of that opinion, basically.
Yeah, I feel like, and this is going to sound pretty interesting, I think, for a lot of people that are watching that are probably from the West. I feel like there's a lot of brainwashing and a lot of sort of mind-numbing stuff that goes on both sides. So obviously a lot of the modern day government system that is set up all over the world, and this is not me just being like a type of a conspiracy head or something like that, this is just generally what is actually going on in reality most of the time, is you're getting fed a lot of media. So media comes from the traditional sort of media aspect, I mean like from TV and radio and the state controlled sort of situation. That coming from the West to a lot of Europe and to America and to Canada and things like that, it's coming from the top down, and that information is heavily sort of filtered through things like politics. Now obviously the number one place that a lot of media comes from in the Western world is the United States of America, and because that's where it comes from in the first place, who is the number one enemy of the US? Does anybody have any guesses? It's the country that we're currently walking in right now, and that's China. So it's very obvious that a lot of the media that the US puts out is going to be biased against the country that they don't like very much. It's going to be biased against the country that they have a lot of sort of opposing political views to. It's the same here, so it's the same situation here. Obviously a lot of the media that's going to come out is going to reflect different views in different ways, depending on what way the country from the top wants the world, or wants the general population to view different aspects. So I suppose that's probably why a lot of the people, including us, that's why we had that picture painted in our minds that China is not safe. China is going to, everybody's going to hate us, nobody's going to want to speak to us, because that's, I was just saying this to Naomi when we were before we started filming this. Before we came here, I genuinely thought that nobody would want to even look at us, that everybody would be terrified of speaking to us, that their speech would be so heavily restricted because they're so terrified of this, you know, social credit system that I always assumed was the case. I haven't seen it once here. I've seen people do things that I never thought were even possible to do in places like Europe. I've seen people drive through red lights. I've seen people spitting in subway stations. I've seen people sort of like breaking the rules, if you want to say that, in many different circumstances, and having absolutely no regard for that. And I genuinely thought before coming here that that would not be the case. I thought people would be terrified, I thought people would be living in fear, and I didn't think that they would be able to freely speak to us, which has happened many times here, by the way.
Yes, exactly. And that's maybe something, if you are Chinese or maybe from the Asian continent and just listening to what we have to say, that's something actually that we think in Europe or in Germany and in Ireland, where the two of us are from. We cannot necessarily talk about the other countries in Europe because that's not where we're from. We think, or we get this portrait painted of China as if everybody here is super aware of their social credit score, and I don't know, you align yourself with people that have a similar score, or maybe you're not allowed to leave the country because of whatever number that is attached to your name and face, basically. And walking the streets of China, we haven't seen a single person talk about it, show it, see it. There's people breaking the rules. There's scooters driving on the sidewalk, which might necessarily, I think that might actually be okay with the law here, but there's a lot of scooters, for example, driving on the sidewalk, which would be illegal in Germany. And there's people breaking red lights, there is people walking or jaywalking, stuff like that, and nobody cares about a social credit score. And don't get me wrong, this is not we're not trying to paint the China is perfect type of a video here either. Like, every country has its positives and negatives. It's not like we're trying to portray China as like the joyous heavens of paradise or something like that. It's more so that we're genuinely questioning why we have this perception. Of course, there is other things to it, things like Google, things like YouTube, where you're probably watching us on right now, are not necessarily legal in China. There is certain things that you cannot use, but there's other things that you use instead. And that's very, very interesting. It's just not the same as what we think is normality, but it's their normality. I mean, they don't have to have our normality. It's just different.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that stood out immediately to us as well. Culture shock wise, it was a big culture shock to us. We basically realized that inside China there's a whole different sort of reality. It's something that's very disconnected from the rest and from the sort of westernized world, I guess you could say. And that's what I wanted to touch on here as well, because I just wanted to sort of put across exactly in terms of safety, like actual physical safety. Today, just literally now, a few minutes ago, I went and got a haircut, and you'll see that in one of the separate videos. I went and got a haircut in the barber, and I put my phone down just before I went to get my haircut, and I left my phone there, got my haircut, got up, paid the guy, left the barber's, was gone, didn't realize that I didn't have my phone for roughly around 20 minutes, half an hour even, had walked all the way up the road away from where the barber's was, and then I realized I don't have my phone on me. This barber shop had like 6 guys in there, 6 Chinese guys, all of them, by the way, very, very friendly towards me, didn't overcharge me for the haircut, charged me exactly the same as any local would pay. I left the barber's without my phone, realized it, we walked casually back towards the barber's, and my phone was sitting in the exact same place where I left it. That's something that I'll tell you right now, me coming from Ireland, would never ever happen in my home country. And that's not me being disrespectful. If there's any Irish people listening, that's just me being honest. If you were to leave your phone behind, if you even were to set your phone down for a second in a restaurant or something like that, your phone would be gone in 2 minutes. Even if you turned your head to the side and you didn't realize that you weren't looking at your phone for a second, like that, your phone would be gone. In some European countries you might even be looking at your phone and somebody just takes it casually, swipes it off the table while walking past the table. So that also has happened quite to a lot of our friends in cafes and stuff like that in Italy or in Turkey or wherever, you know. So very, very true. Yeah. And in terms of physical safety, me as a guy, I am a tall white European guy. In terms of feeling safe, I have, and I'm being honest here, and this, if you guys think that we are being sort of pushed to make this type of a video, we're honestly not. I swear we are not being forced to make this video. This is genuinely just to put across how we feel in this country. Me, as who I am in this country, I feel genuinely the safest that I have probably ever felt inside of an Asian country. And I believe now Naomi, as a white female, I'm 100% certain that she can walk around here freely on her own even, and not have a single worry. Yeah, that's exactly true. Maybe, like, I don't know, every now and then you might feel a little bit uncomfortable because obviously people are looking at you and the language barrier is just very, very high. So like maybe younger people like the girl in the car there, I don't know if you saw her, she just pointed at us, they might speak a little bit of English but not necessarily a whole lot. And older people, there's no chance that they even would remotely speak English. And also why? Like, they don't have a reason to speak English. If we're being honest here, they have a giant, massive country and they don't need to speak English in this country. So there's not really a whole lot of reason for them. Anyway, they might look at you in a very intense way because they're just shocked to see a white person. I mean, we are in Chongqing since we arrived here. I don't know, I don't think we have seen a single white person. I think we are the only white people since we arrived in Chongqing. Chengdu was a few, but... Quite literally, we're the only white people that we've seen in Chongqing since we've arrived. We've gotten plenty of stares out of curiosity. We've gotten plenty of high fives and handshakes. People will just start speaking to you in Chinese. even though you don't understand, they literally will just speak to you, but it's always them just sort of asking you questions like, why are you here, and where do you come from? But it's always very positive.
That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. So people might look at you like in a very intense way, and they're not breaking eye contact whatsoever, but that's just a cultural difference. Like for us, maybe coming from a Western perspective, looking at a person very intensively, even coming from Germany, where the German stare is very, very popular and very well known, it's kind of a little bit on a different level here, but it's just a cultural difference. And it's not because they're malicious or whatever, or they want to take something off of you. They're just genuinely curious and they want to talk to you, but they don't know how. And that's just the situation that it is. They might look at you, which makes you maybe uncomfortable depending on the person that you are. For me, sometimes it makes me a little bit anxious, but other than that, really nothing. Like nobody ever comes close to you. If they have the chance, like here where it's like a lot of space, they wouldn't come close to you. They have a lot of sort of physical distance culturally, unless obviously you're in a crowded place, and everything is fine. Like I genuinely would go to an ATM by myself taking money out, or I don't know, get a Chinese takeaway or whatever it might be. Hello, ni hao. By myself, and I would be fine, whereas in other countries I would be like maybe a little bit iffy about it or on the defense about it. So yeah, it's very, very safe.
Incredibly safe. Yeah. I've traveled a lot, obviously. Both of us have traveled a lot. We've been all over Asia, we've been all over Europe, I've been all over nearly everywhere. I've traveled quite a lot in the United States as well. Naomi was there once too. I was there, I think, maybe 4 or 5 times in the States, all over different sort of parts of America. And I'll tell you something right now, guys. This right here, local Chongqing in the middle of nowhere, quite literally in China, is 500 times safer than any city that is in America. And I'll just tell you that straight up. That's just how it is. And I'm sorry to any American that's watching this, because Americans a lot of times have this sort of internal fascination with America. And me being who I am, I'm someone who's very fond of America, and I love a lot of the things about it. And I am someone who is, if I'm being totally straightforward and honest with you guys, I'm someone who has always been very fond of that country and of the constitution that they have and of the way that they value freedom and things like that. That's me 100%, and that's the reason, one of the other reasons why I had so much doubt about coming to visit this country, China, because I really love a lot of the values that America has. And I always thought that I was very much against the values of a country like China. That's not the case at all. Since I've arrived, I found out that it's actually quite the opposite of what I thought it was. You'll realize that people can freely laugh and talk. They freely walk around together, speaking to whoever they want, whenever they want.
Speaking very loud as well.
Speaking very loudly as well. There's no such thing as being like quietly speaking here. And I believe that's something to do with Chinese culture, the whole sort of speaking with your, really sort of echoing your voice out there. Curiosity from the people. Every person wants to speak to us constantly. They come up to us, like we just said, and they'll just start talking, take pictures with us. There's no sort of being scared of who we are or anything like that. Quite the opposite, actually. So in terms of sort of being afraid to come here, you have absolutely no reason to be. The police, that's another thing I'll touch on, because that's something that I was very afraid of as well.
And immigration too.
The police in this country, really incredible. So we've come across many of them, even like security in different like metro stations, the police in general that are out on the street. All they do is literally just wave at us. Hello. Some of them will say, how are you? One time I went into a bathroom here, or in Chengdu, I went into a bathroom. I had a duck stuck to my hat, or a chicken stuck on my hat. The police officer just said, that's a nice chicken. And then he started having a laugh with me. They are really not intimidating people. And I don't see a reason for you as a Westerner to be afraid of coming here, especially if you can figure out the visa situation, and if you can figure all of that stuff out. It's a very smooth process, and I think that's what Naomi wants to quickly touch on, is just how incredible the immigration process was here as well.
Exactly. I was really scared because I'm like, I don't know, sometimes I'm a little bit socially weird, I guess, or socially anxious. So I was just, I guess, scared of the immigration process because, you know, you're in this type of situation where you try to enter a country and then they're like, oh, what do you want to do here? Or in the US, for example, when I try to, I have a German passport, I try to immigrate, I try to go through immigration in the US. And I got questioned really hard, and the guy made me feel uncomfortable, and I didn't really know what to say because it was like a work trip, you know, so it's like not really organized by me or whatever. I was just invited to go on a sales kickoff basically, and then I don't know, I was made really uncomfortable, and I thought it was going to be so difficult to enter China basically, because I thought the questioning was going to be a lot heavier. Maybe they're gonna remove you to an extra room and then we're gonna be separated from each other, and I have to ask. That's what I thought, genuinely, that's what I thought. And on the contrary, we got on the plane, we arrived in Chengdu International Airport. The guy looked at me, he scanned my passport, and he said, "Welcome to China." And he didn't ask a single question.
Not a single question.
Nothing.
Yeah, the guy that I had.
Oh my god.
The guy that I had literally was just like, "So, what cities do you want to see?" And I just said Chongqing and Chengdu. He said, "Oh, good choice. Welcome to China."
That was it.
That was it.
I wasn't even asked that question. I wasn't asked anything.
Naomi was asked nothing.
Because I have a German passport, and I believe Germany and China are quite close. So there was nothing. Just literally, welcome to China. That was it.
Yeah. So in terms of immigration, it's nothing. In terms of safety, it's safer. Let me put it this way. It's safer than 99% of the destinations that you think are totally fine. So for example, Barcelona, one of my favorite cities in Europe. I love Barcelona, I love Spain, I love Madrid, I love everywhere in Spain. I've traveled to Spain so many times. As an Irish guy, that's literally the chosen destination of a vacation for most Irish people. But I'll tell you what, people are waving out of their cars at us. The destination of choice is Spain, but I'll tell you what, for Irish people, Spain, Barcelona, especially Barcelona at the moment, unfortunately, is way more dangerous. You have a huge pickpocketing problem in Barcelona. You have a huge cleanliness problem. It's quite filthy in a lot of places. And crime in general, it's really high all throughout Europe and all throughout a lot of America, a lot of Canada even. A lot of the Americas in general is quite high crime. So if you're looking at that and you have no problem at all with going on holiday to somewhere like Rome or Paris or Barcelona or Greece or anywhere like this, the crime rates in those places are substantially higher than where we are right now in China. So why are you afraid of coming here? Is it just because you think that the government is out for you or something like that? Because that's what I thought. It's not the case at all. We
have to say though as well that we only experienced Chengdu and Chongqing so far, so I don't know, there might be dangerous parts of certain areas out there, but we didn't experience any of it. Maybe just to preface it a little bit, we have experience in these two cities, and that's the extent of our experience. And also maybe another thing that I was really scared of was scamming. I thought, oh, because we don't speak the language, you know, sometimes you don't know what things are supposed to cost, or you don't know how to ask for the price or whatever. We didn't have a single, not one problem in the entire time we have been in China. Now, I'm so trusting of Chinese people that I would literally go with my Alipay and I let them type in the number, because even if I figure out how to ask how much is it, they're gonna answer me in Chinese. I don't know Chinese numbers. Yeah. So I just go and I show them my Alipay, they type in the number, and it's always exactly what it says on the menu. So
that's very true.
Really no problem with scamming.
We've been all over Southeast Asia, we've been all over a lot of South Asia, and this is our first sort of Eastern Asian country now in China. But we've been scammed in the Philippines We've been scammed in Vietnam. We've been scammed before in Thailand. We've been scammed.
There's people in the Burger King waiting.
We've been scammed in quite literally. We've been scammed in India. We've been scammed in Sri Lanka. We've been scammed in a huge amount of the countries. Nearly every country actually that we've been to where we've not been, where we're obviously not locals. It hasn't happened once here. So keep that in mind. Zero scams, zero sort of aggravation towards you as a person who's very clearly not a local.
It's actually the contrary here. A lot of times they type in a number into my Alipay and I'm looking at it and I'm like, are you sure this is the price? It seems to be too little right now. For example, with the barber experience that we had with Luke, where he typed in 30 yuan, which is under €4, and it was like nearly an hour of service, or with my nails, or with the food, or stuff like that. It's just, a lot of times it actually seems like they're trying to undercharge you.
Yeah, true.
That's what I get. Like,
a lot of times they'll literally give you stuff for free just to say welcome. So yeah, keep that in mind, guys, and I hope that we have, by us telling you these things, like we're literally in areas that are not even popular tourist destinations as Westerners here in China, and we feel very, very comfortable. We feel very, very safe, and we hope that we have hopefully calmed you down a little bit if you are preparing for your trip to China.
And don't get us wrong as well, you need to prepare a lot. Like, you need to set up certain apps, certain software, certain payment systems. That might be, it's better if, I think, if we put that into a different video.
That will be a different video.
You have to prepare a lot, but it's not the things that you actually have to be scared about. So they're just, forget being scared. There's no reason to be scared.
Yeah. It's a big, very beautiful place, and we're going to be coming back here many more times as well. And this is not our last video. We have many more videos, but we will be making a lot more trips here just because we want to explore a lot more, and because of what we just spoke about in this video. It's a very positive experience.
China is also such a vast country with so many different people, so many different areas, cuisines and so on. So I think you can probably spend a lifetime in China trying to see it all, and you're not going to see it all.
That's true, guys, but for now, my name is Luke.
My name is Naomi.
We are the two Mad Explorers.
And this is your reminder to keep exploring.
I will see you guys in the next China adventure.
谢谢 for watching.
谢谢.
Bye bye.